All right, hello friends. This video is going to be my October wrap up. No, it's gonna be my September. Hi friends, welcome to the video. In this video, we're gonna be doing my September wrap up. And now it's October and I got my booze on. Let me get all the books. Are you ready? So this is my stack of physical rates. Oh, that's a lot. Yeah. We're gonna be doing these in no particular order. I'm just gonna pull them out and go through them and see what I can remember and what I rated them. First up is a big one. We have Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I've seen a lot of mixed ratings about this, but I absolutely love this book. It was such a vibey time. And my ratings are based foremost on my enjoyment, and I had so much fun with this book. I have a lot of good little tabbies here, and it was so much fun. This is a book that's set in academia where a postdoc student and a postdoc student and then another postdoc student, a man and a woman, go to hell to try to rescue their professor's soul because they need his recommendations letters and and him to finish their theses and get their doctorate. So it's so important. And I just thought it was great. I liked the relationship between the two. I liked all the interesting people and creatures they met down in hell. I enjoyed the commentary on feminism and how the main character, what's her name? Alice, she goes down and she doesn't think she has use for feminism. She just feels like if we just have to be as good as the men and then we'll be all set. And of course, people have come before her have fought these battles so that she can be where she is and be able to strive to be, who she wants to be. And she takes that for granted. So there are some discussions of that in here, which I really enjoyed. And just overall, this was a great book. I loved it. It's very heavy, but yeah, I thought it was great. I read it audibly and physically. It was a great time for me. Highly recommend. But some people seem to not like it, so who knows. Another one I really liked was Pink Slime. And this is a pandemic book, sort of. It's a eco-terror, maybe? We don't really know. There's something in the water that creates a mist, and when these mists come, they infect people, and these people, most of them end up dying. So we're living in a world where this has happened. There's a woman, and she is trying to just survive these deadly winds, because when the winds come in, maybe it's just the wind, I don't know. Wind/water, they come in, and she's just trying to survive them. And she has a little boy that she nannies whose parents don't really seem to care about him. He has special needs, and he has this thing where he just eats and eats and eats and eats and never feels satiated. She lives with him, and she has to provide for him the best she can when things go wrong. She also has an ex-husband who's a survivor of this disease but is in the hospital still. And it's just about this new world that they're living in and the relationships that they have with their family. And she has a very difficult, complicated relationship with her mother. And I thought it was really great. I think I gave this a 4.5. It just explores, different relationships that we have and how love and responsibility converge together. I liked it a lot, and I gave it 4.5, I believe. Kind of similar one is Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin. This one is, I couldn't stop reading this because I just wanted to know what the heck was going on. And you do pretty much find out what was going on. And if you're not sure, there are lots of YouTube videos and subreddits I think you can go and listen to, but I really liked it. It's a pretty quick one, but it's one that makes you think, and that's why I really liked it. It's about a woman who is in a hospital and she has a fever and she's very ill and she's going to die. We know that from the first few pages of the book. And she's having a conversation with her neighbor's son. There's something strange about him that we don't really know about. Yeah, I don't think it says anything about him, so I'm not going to tell you anything about him other than it's not her son, it's somebody else's son that she's speaking to, and he's trying to get her to remember what has happened and why it's happened. And I don't really want to tell you much more about it because it kind of will spoil the book for you, but in the end, the things that we found out about, and then I don't know, it's a book about so many things, but it's so short. Like, it's a book about motherhood, it's a book about some other political things that I don't want to say. It's a book about ourselves, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I gave this one 5 stars. I read for the Literally Dead Book Club, The Babysitter Lives, and Killer on the Road. Altogether, I gave this 3.75 stars / 4 stars. The Babysitter Lives is about a girl who babysits these 2 kids, and weird things start happening in the house, and she has to deal with it. It's really weird and trippy. I really enjoyed it. And then this one is Killer on the Road, and Killer on the Road is about this serial killer that haunts the highways of Montana. I think that's where this is based out of, like over there in the country somewhere, over in that direction. And a girl who runs away from home, Harper, who runs away from home after an argument with her mother, a seemingly not that bad of an argument with her mother about something so stupid. And she runs away and she hitchhikes. And of course, when there's a killer on the road, that's not a good idea. But it's not just about her. She meets up with some friends, and then her little sister gets involved as well. But this killer is not just a killer on the road. He has something supernatural about him as well. The first chapter is really great, and I love Stephen Graham Jones, so it was still a win, even if it wasn't one of my favorites from him. I read Rachel Harrison's Play Nice, which I really liked. I gave this 4 stars. This book is about a woman who, it's a group of sisters, but it's primarily about, I think, Cleo. Yeah, she's an influencer and a stylist, and her mother passes away, and she's estranged from her mother. Her sister don't want her to go back to this house, but she has inherited it, and she's like, I'm a stylist, I'm an influencer, this would be great content, and I could go into this house and fix it up and post about it. And her mother has also written a book before she passed away about this house and the horrible demonic / ghosty things that have happened in it. And her father had made them promise never to read it, so she hasn't read it. But she goes into this house and she finds a copy of it with notes from her mother, so of course she starts reading it. So it's about her grappling with things that happened in her childhood, trying to find out what is real, what is not real. It had notes of Home Before Dark in it. And then there was another book, Day of the Door too. It kind of reminded me of that as well. Lighter than Day of the Door for sure, but still good. You know, they say that their mother was very abusive, but she was the youngest one, so she doesn't really remember a whole ton about it. And I really liked it. I liked the discussion of sisterhood, motivations of parents, different perspectives, and I love the cover. I gave it 4 stars. Next we have How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. This is one of my least enjoyed books of the month. I really enjoyed the beginning of this. I thought it was the first 100 pages or so were really fun. Then it kind of went downhill for me. I wanted it to go more paranormal, more scary, and it ended up being more of a mystery, and that was fine. But this is about a group of people that are called to a manor house, like a big old gothic-y, scary looking house, after a writer dies, and they're all writers themselves, most are published. They say that there's something that he's left in their will, and they have to come to this house for the reading of the will. Part kind of reminded me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it also reminded me of Ready or Not, like rich people doing silly shit. I was entertained. I finished it. I gave it 2.5, so it was okay. There were some things I did not understand in it at all, and not in a fun way, like things that just seemed to come out of nowhere. And then I liked some of the stuff that it was doing, but I don't think it went far enough for me. It was interesting. Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I enjoyed The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana as well. This one I only gave a 3, and that's probably the reason it's a 3 is because I did read the whole thing, and it was cute at times, and I really loved the fox in it. This is about a witch who brings her aunt back from the dead, and because of this loses half of her magic, and then the book is about her trying to get this magic back so she can take care of this inn and the people she loves. There's a love interest in it who has a sister who's autistic who comes to stay at this inn and finds acceptance and love and all the warm and happy feelings. But the ending of this really pissed me off, So that knocked it down in my brain. It could have been a solid 3. Now it's just like a low 3, bordering a 2.75 for me. I am not keeping this. I'm going to unhaul it. And I'm also going to be unhauling How to Survive a Horror Story. Next, I have one that I've never heard anyone talk about, and I actually liked it quite a bit. It's by Tom McNeil, Far, Far Away. This was about a boy, and it's his life, young childhood through teenagehood. And he has this odd thing where he can see ghosts, and he especially has one ghost who is supposed to be one of the Grimm brothers, I don't remember which one. And he guides him through his life with his studies. He wants him to be, well studied and, have a successful life. And this boy's father is very depressed and not really working very much, and is going to lose the house and the store that they own. I think it's a bookstore. Yeah, it's a bookstore. And his mother has passed away. So I believe passed away or ran away. Anyways, so he's depressed and they're going to lose their home. So this ghost tries to help him not lose their home, like a journey to figure out how to save their house. And then there's also another storyline where there's these kids are going missing. So I actually thought this was interesting. It reminded me a little bit of The Name of the Wind. I think that's what Shadow of the Wind, not The Name of the Wind. That's something different. But this one was more interesting to me. I actually gave it 4 stars. I read Great Big Beautiful Life by Henry Henry. I gave it 3 stars. This has 2 writers in competition to write a memoir of this woman who has been out of the public eye, but she was a controversial character back in her day. And they compete. And then there's these interludes of story. I liked the old lady's story. I liked their story, but I don't feel like I was invested in either one all that much, but I thought it was cute. I gave it 3. Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I read as part of my TBR Temp video, and I read towards the beginning of the month, so I don't know how much I'm going to remember, but this is about Bree, and Bree goes to a school it's like a pre-college program where they're in college, but they're not college age yet, but she gets to stay there. That's kind of cool. And she sees this demon and demon hunter type people. They try to erase her memory of what she saw, but then it doesn't work on her. So she goes into this society of Legendborns and learns about them and joins them and tries to learn about her own magic and her family and her ancestry. And there's a lot of themes of racism in here, self-identity. I enjoyed this a lot. I think I gave it 4.5, but honestly I cannot remember, but I enjoyed it a lot. So I'll be continuing with this eventually, but I'm not in a hurry to do that, but I probably should because I'm going to start forgetting about things. I read Monstrillo by Gerardo Samano Cordova. I think that's how you say his name. Oh no, Hermano. Gerardo. You've probably heard about this. This is about a man and a woman who lose their son tragically at a young age, and when their son passes away, the mother takes a little piece of his lung, feeds it, and it ends up turning into this creature. And the descriptions of him is kind of like grotesque but super cute at the same time. And he ends up growing into a man. It's about Monstrillo figuring out who he is apart from the boy that he was taken, he was created from. There's also themes of grief, good stuff, and it's also has good queer rep in it as well, and I liked it a lot. I did not give it 5 stars, but it's definitely a high 4 for me, and that's Monstrillo. I know there's a lot here, so that's why I'm kind of going quickly. Silver Under Nightfall was also part of my TBR Temp. I feel like I gave this a 4. It was pretty good. I haven't heard good things about the second one though. I don't even know if it's going to be worth a shot, but I feel like I have to at least try to read it since it is on my shelf at some point, and I did enjoy this. It didn't completely come together for me. Remy is a vampire hunter type guy. When vampires are attacking the human areas, he will go in and slay them, I guess. And then he ends up teaming up with these 2 vampires because there's this other new breed of vampire that are trying to figure out who created it and what's going on. I thought the last bit of this was really interesting. There's a lot of twists and turns that were fun. I wasn't really invested in the relationships between the 3 of them. They have a polyamorous relationship with each other. I feel like I'm talking and it seems like I didn't like it, but I did enjoy it, but I feel like I could have enjoyed it more. I was a little confused in the world building in the beginning of it. It did come together a little bit, but just not completely how I was hoping I was going to really love this. So a 4 is a good rating. I still had a good time. It's just not as much of a win as I thought it was going to be. I read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, and I love Stephen Graham Jones. It always takes me a minute to get into his writing because he does have a bit of a unique writing style. It's not one that I can just delve into while my family is watching TV or, the kids are talking or whatever. I have to actually really sit down and concentrate and get into one of his books for a bit. But I did really like this one. Of course, this is one that I've been wanting to read for quite a while. And it is about these boys who commit a crime against nature in the beginning of the book. And then nature comes back for revenge. And I really liked it. It's pretty gory. It's pretty grotesque. There's a lot of animal death in here. I gave it 5 stars, 4.5, 5. Okay, we had to have an unfortunate change in location because my husband came home unexpectedly from work. He has to work from home for a little bit because of some tech problem at work, so that's lovely. So you got my medals instead of my books back there and subpar lighting. Oh well. Anyways, we're about halfway through. We've got The Enchanted Greenhouse, which I read for an in-person book club that I didn't end up getting to go to because of mom duties. The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. I've read her Queens of Blood series, also The Spell Shop, and I enjoyed them all. I give this one 5 stars. I liked it even better than Spell Shop. I don't know why. Maybe the setting. No, it can't be the setting. The setting. I love the small town setting of The Spell Shop. This is not small town. This is on a mostly uninhabited island. So I don't know why. I think I like the love interest more, and I also enjoyed the character a lot too. She's very, if you didn't know, this is about the librarian who created Kaz. So Kaz is the spider plant from The Spell Shop, and he's sentient. And this is about the librarian that did magic when she wasn't supposed to. Her name is Turlu, and she was not supposed to do any magic because it's against the law to do magic unless you're a sorcerer. And she broke the law, created Kaz, got caught, and then was sentenced to eternity as a statue. So she was supposed to be turned into a statue, which she was. And the next thing she knows, years go by, and she wakes up and she's in this cold, snowy place, and she doesn't know how she got there. And then she sees this greenhouse, and she meets the man they need to save the greenhouse because the sorcerer who created the greenhouse passed away. And now the greenhouse is failing, and they want to save all those plants. And there is a new sentient plant in this, and there's also a cute little kitty with wings. And I liked this really a lot. Just as cozy and sweet as The Spell Shop, but I actually connected with the characters much more than I did in that one. So that was a nice surprise. This one was a 5 stars for me. I read Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. I really liked My Lovely Wife. I gave that 5 stars. I thought it was interesting and a little different than some of the other thrillers I had read at the time. In this one, you have an older protagonist who is, I think, in her early 70s, late 60s, I think early 70s, and she is a retired serial killer. She stopped killing people because she was getting older and it was going to become more difficult. And she changed her name and her identity after she was accused of these murders, and has been living a peaceful, retired life for many years. And then this girl named Plum, shows up at her door wanting to create a documentary about those who have been wrongly accused, and she doesn't want her to go digging back into her life, so she kills her. And this is the story about how she tries to get away with it. Yeah, so it's about how the struggles of trying to get away with murder when you're older and not in the prime of your life anymore. It was silly. There was some humor in here that I did like, but for the most part, it just didn't spark anything in me. I wasn't really invested in Lottie as a character very much, and I didn't like her, which you're not really supposed to like her, but I also just wasn't entertained by her either. Wasn't really intrigued by her. I should have been, but the writing for some reason didn't click with me. I did use the audiobook for this one from my library, so that might be part of why, but it was still entertaining. I gave it 3 stars. If you hear a dog crying, it's my mother's dog. She's a pain in my arse. I read The Ghost Eaters by Clay McCloy Chapman. I had heard really good things about this. This is primarily a book about addiction and grief. So if talk of addiction is a trigger for you, you definitely want to watch out for that in here. This is about a group of friends, and one of them is a severe addict and passes away from what they believe is an overdose. He has been taking this drug called Ghost, which allows you to see ghosts for a certain amount of time. So this is about the group of friends getting involved in those drugs and their experiences with them. and dealing with the grief from this friend who has passed away. I thought it was really well done. It was creepy. I thought the themes of addiction were done really well. As someone who's dealt with that in my family, I thought that it really hit close to home. So I really enjoyed this, and I gave this one 5 stars. And the last physical book I have is House of Glass by Sarah Pecken, and this is just your run-of-the-mill thriller. I already went over this in my TBR temp video, so I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. This is about a nanny who... Is it about a nanny? No. Yes, it's about a girl who sees her nanny fall and die, and the lawyer who comes in, what do they call them? Best interest attorney, named Stella. The best interest attorney has to go in and figure out what happened and what she believes would be the best for the little girl. Girl's behaving weirdly as well, so there's hints of like, oh, maybe she did it, but she saw it. She hasn't talked since it happened, so she's obviously traumatized or something's going on, and she wants to find out, the lawyer wants to find out what happened so she can best help the courts decide where this little girl should live and what she should do in the future. And I gave this one, I think, 3 stars, a low 3 or 2.5. It's a pretty typical thriller. It was entertaining. That's all I really look for in my thrillers, to be entertained and to want to keep reading to find out what's happening. And the ending of it didn't really piss me off too much, so I gave it a 3. The rest of the books I read this month, they're either library books or ebooks or just audiobook. I have the physical book, so I'll put pictures up when I can. The ARCs I read this month, one was The Scald Crow by Grace Daly. I really, really love this. I have a little clip of me talking about it, but I don't know where that's going to end up vlog-wise. But this book is about a woman whose parents were Irish immigrants, and her father passes away when she's young, and her mother was very, very abusive to her, and she has a lot of trauma from that. She made her out to feel like she is worthless, that she doesn't have any skills, and she just a lot of self-doubt because of this. And her mother passes away. She goes back home to work on fixing up the house and living in it because she doesn't have a lot of money and she can't pass up a free home, even if there's a lot of trauma and traumatic memories there. So she goes to live there, and she can't pass up on it because she's on disability, because she has chronic pelvic pain. She moves back into this house, and she's not sure if she can trust her own brain, especially because the doctors have told her that this pain, there's no reason for it, and that it's all in her head. Weird things start happening. She's not sure if she can believe her own mind, and it goes from there. There's also a cute cat in it, and there is a large blackbird / crow following her around. I thought this was really interesting. I really liked the rep of invisible disability. I gave this one 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I loved the ending. So it was a good one. You should read it. I read Little Rot by Kweki Emezi. That was in the vlog I just put up, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. That is a book about sort of the seedy underbelly of New Lagos. Oh my God. New Lagos, Nigeria. Talk of sex trafficking in there, sex work in there. And it's primarily about this couple who decide to break up because she wanted to get married and he was refusing to marry her at this time. And so she gave him an ultimatum and she decided to go home. But then she didn't go home. And he goes to the sex party and gets caught in the middle of some crime ring, sex trafficking stuff. And it's pretty triggering book. There is talk of pedophilia in there and, not good stuff. So it's emotional and heartbreaking, but it was a good book and I gave it 4 stars. In Kweki Emezi's writing, they're just so good at what they do. I read The Wrath of Dragons, which was the sequel to Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. And I read that through audiobook from my library because I didn't want to buy the copy of it because the copy I have is a softcover and I want to keep, I want to get the new soft cover when it comes out, but it's only in hardcover right now, so I listened to it. I enjoyed it. I don't think I liked it as much as the first book, but I still enjoyed it, and I love the ending, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next book that we're gonna have to wait a long time for. In Fear the Flames is about a young woman who is tortured and ripped apart from these dragons that she bonded to when she was a baby, and there's 5 of them, and her father fears her power that she's going to have with these dragons, so he tries to break their bond by keeping them apart, by torturing her, and her uncle rescues her and takes her away from all that. He built this little town, I don't know what you call it, like this little rebellion sort of. Another man comes into her life. They try to get her dragons back. There's a love story, and there's a lot of cute found family in there with the side characters. And I really liked the first one. This one was, I think, just as good. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I read Breathe In, Bleed Out, which is a slasher by Brian McCauley, and it's a slasher. They go to a wellness retreat and people start dying, and it was goofy and silly, and I think I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. It was a fun one. That one I read through Hoopla on my phone, so that was an interesting time. I'd never done that before, but I wanted to read it, so I read it all on my phone. I read The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Canis. I really liked this one a lot too. I did this on audio. Isabel Canis has a way of weaving in romance and historical fiction and horror kind of together, and the possession was forefront in this one, which was nice. Piper, shh, could you not? Which was nice, and I really liked the love story in it. I thought it was really well done. I liked the 2 characters. I felt their passion for each other. Piper. Anyways, and I gave that one 4 stars as well. Let's see, how many other books do I got? A couple more. More than a couple more. Let's see, I read Matchmaking for Psychopaths, which I didn't really like. It's about a woman who works for a dating company, and she has to matchmake. Her job is to matchmake people who, when they answer this quiz, they get flagged as psychopaths. And it was silly, but I wasn't really invested in the characters, and something about the writing style really didn't work for me, so I ended up giving it a 2.5. I read My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Tessa Moshfegh. I keep trying her because there's something about her writing that I do like. It's got a humor to it and a weirdness to it that I enjoy. While I liked some of it, and I thought it was going to be, a decent 3 book, ended up being a high 2 because the ending really pissed me off. Also read Perfect Happiness, which was an arc by Yu Zhang. I think that's how you pronounce that. This is a translated fiction about a narcissistic mother that wants perfect happiness and will go to any length to remove anything from her life that is preventing her from having this perfect happiness. I think the translation didn't quite work for me. And I don't know if, it's a translated fiction, so I don't know if it was the translation or the writing or what, but it didn't quite come together for me. I really liked the idea of it, and I liked the story overall. I got lost in some of the writing, but I still gave it a 3. I still think it's worth a read. It's definitely twisted and weird, so that it has that going for it. I read Party of Liars by Kelsey Cox, and this takes place at a Sweet 16 birthday party. Someone dies. The book works its way from what happened. You don't know what happened, you just know someone dies, and it works its way that led up to it, and you slowly unravel the mystery of it all. And I enjoyed that one. I thought it was fun. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, it was a solid thriller. I liked it. Maybe it was a 3.5. I don't have my ratings in front of me, but I remember enjoying it. I read The Love of My Afterlife, which I remember almost nothing about. A woman dies. She gets a chance to go back. She has to kiss this dude. She gets a second chance at life, but she has to kiss this dude within a certain amount of time, or she'll die again. So that was the main plot of it. But then there's this neighbor who she's trying to get to help her find this guy, because all she has is a first name and that he's in the city, so she has to find him. I thought it was cute. I gave that 3.5 stars. Also read The Violence by Delilah S. Dawson. I listened to this one and I thought it was fine. It was a little long, kind of had the same thoughts as most people that I've seen read it. I did end up giving it a low 4, so I did enjoy it more than some people have, and I love the cover of it. But now looking back on it, I don't know if it's really a 4 for me. This is a pandemic book. Not the pandemic book, but it is a pandemic book, and people who get this and they turn violent against someone, and they will basically tear them to shreds and rip them apart. And it's just this world dealing with that. For some reason, a lot of wrestling in it. It's a mom and her 2 kids and her husband, and then the grandmother, who are the central, or her 3 kids, 2 kids, and them dealing with this new world that they're living in post this pandemic. The mom ends up being Wrestler? No, I don't know. I gave it 4 stars. It was a little long. I did enjoy it. Yeah, so I read Juniper Tree by Barbara Cummins. This was published quite a long time ago. So it looks like it was written in 1985. I'm trying to remember what this book was about. I know there's this man and woman who want to have a child, and they have been unsuccessful in having a child. And then there's this other woman who is an unwed mother who has a kid, and she befriends this couple. And this woman who is the unwed mother, she has a very tumultuous relationship with her own mother, and she's very independent. She runs a little antique store, and she's very good at what she does, and she really treasures that independence. And she was married in the past, but she's divorced now, and she just raising her kid, doing her thing. She meets this wife and man. The wife ends up actually getting pregnant. I don't know how much I can tell you about this, but it's about all their relationships together, and it's weird and very atmospheric, and I didn't really know what to expect from it because I didn't know the original tale, but I thought it was interesting. I think I gave it a 3.75. I loved the writing in it. I thought it was beautiful. Even though things were kind of mundane, it was still interesting, and I thought the ending was really interesting, but I almost feel like I went back and read the original tale, and that was more interesting. So I gave it a 3.75. I will return to her writing because like I said, I really enjoyed her style of writing. She does have some other retellings as well. It gets pretty twisty though towards the end there. I read Savage Blooms, which was another arc by S.T. Gibson. This is an erotic fantasy, dark romance-ish, polyamorous, yes. You would have to check into whether this would be something you'd like or not. I thought it was good. It's the beginning of a series, which I didn't realize when I started it, and I like where it's going, so we'll see. I actually wrote a review for Savage Blooms from Julia S. Dawson, so I'm just going to read it to you because I don't remember a lot of it, so we'll remember what this book was about together. It says, Savage Blooms is an atmospheric, sexy romp through a mysterious Scotland estate. Adam and Nicola have traveled to Cragmere to learn more about Adam's recently deceased grandfather, who had written letters to someone there in the past. He used to tell Adam wonderful stories about Cragmere and wants to learn more about the place for himself. When he arrives there, he meets the lord of the manor, Eileen, who is surprisingly only a few years older than himself, and the groundskeeper, Finley, also around the same age. It doesn't take long for Adam and Nicola to discover that not all is what it seems, and to be caught up in the manor's steamy secrets. I said S.A. Gibson calls this an erotic, queer, kinky, polyamorous, folkloric romance, and I completely agree with that. It is spicy. I often get bored reading erotic scenes after a while, but S.T. Gibson writes them in a way that I don't cringe or yawn. They are top-notch in my humble opinion. The kink was done nicely and consensually. Everyone is delightfully pansexual. The setting is wonderfully atmospheric and claustrophobic. I look forward to seeing where the story goes from here. My only qualm with this is I want to know more about the lore and the place, and I assume we'll get more details of that in the next 2 books, which I look forward to. Beautifully written as always. So that was my review. So I did like it. I gave it 4 stars. I think that's my last one. Let me check. Oh, I also read Lost Man's Lane by Scott Carson, and that one was very Stephen King vibey. It was about a town and a mystery and a boy growing up and coming of age, and I don't remember much more about it. There's a weird thing happening in the town. Oh yes, the Lost Man's Lane. The boy that the story centers around, he sees a girl in the car. He gets pulled over by a cop, and when he gets pulled over, he sees a girl in the car and drives off, doesn't think anything of it, goes home. He doesn't end up getting a ticket. She just got his license that day, so thank goodness. Can you imagine? That would not be a fun time. And he finds out that this girl that he saw is the girl that has gone missing, and he didn't know that. So he is like, oh, I saw her in the back of a cop car, and he finds out that the cop that he got pulled over by, the name that he said is not the cop's name. There is no cop that has that name. So he kind of gets involved in this mystery of what happened to this girl, and there's some other paranormally stuff going on, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's also primarily about his coming of age story, and there's some side characters I really like Weller. What a guy, that Weller. And there's a little bit of a love story, teenage lovey story in there, so I liked it. I thought it was good. I gave it 4 stars. And that's my last one. Yay! Enough books for you. Oh, so total I read 31 books this month. 31 books.